Hey guys, today we are going to talk about my favorite brushes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the list of the free brushes that you get with the latest update for Procreate. So the first one up is under the sketching section. So these are basically pencils, like the free pencils that you can use, as well as some like crayons and pastels and stuff. My favorite one in this pack or this section is the 6B pencil here. So let's look. Like when you use that, the stroke is oopsie doopsie. Let's try that one again. All right, the stroke looks something like this. It's like a pencil. So you push a little harder, it's pretty thick. So it's like you are sketching in real life, except you can undo and change it out if you want. Now, the reason I like this is like if you do something like this guy right here, I like the energy. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I like the energy of these loose pencil marks. So it's not a perfect drawing, but there's a lot of construction lines, you know, so you can see like how the box turns itself into a table or a chair or the fireplace, and it's a little bit of the sketching lines to show maybe shadows, some perspective lines. So if you're working on a conceptual sketch that's more loose, you know, you can definitely stick with that 6B pencil for the whole time. I mean, while you're doing the drawing. Now, I also like to use this Noein pencil. I know I'm not saying this right, but anyway, it's more fine. It's more like a fine pencil that you're using. So it's not as fat, you can see. So maybe something like in those lines here. But I like to use them when I draw. Let's see, the other one in this section I like is this crayon, artist crayon. Now the crayon when you're using this has this texture to it. Now I like to use that, especially when I'm using, when I'm drawing something that has some texture on the floor. Oopsie doopsie, let's do this guy here. So I use that pencil to do these kind of floor marks, sometimes the furniture, because it's got such a graphic quality to it. It's a little rough, so it's not like a fine-tuned airbrushing tool. So I use that whenever I want some kind of texture to my strokes. So next up is the inking section. Now, the pens that I'm using, or the brushes that I'm talking about, are specifically for interior design rendering. For my other projects, I have other favorite tools that I use, but for interior design projects, I like to use the technical pen because it's just like if you were inking a project. So instead of trying to use your black pen, oopsie doopsie, is it with me today? Okay, instead of using your black pen, you can use your inking tool. Now you can make the sizes different. So in theory, if you were using like a fine pen, it'll have a stroke like this. If you want a thicker line, it has a stroke. You know, you can play with the thickness, just like if you were changing out your pen strokes, like if you were using a 005 or 01 or whatever like that. So I like to use that a lot for elevations. I use that a lot for. In terms of the drawing, let me show you some examples where I use the pen. So here's a drawing where I use that pen tool. So I could draw things, you know. And so it's just like inking. It's pretty zoomed up, but I like it because it's a more fine project. Oops, I think I did an oopsie doopsie there. But so it has more of a finished look at the end. So that's why I use the technical pen here for more of my finished presentation drawings rather than the quick conceptual sketch. but it's totally up to you. Now this next section is the drawing. So the drawing, there are a couple that I like to use. I like to use Evolve. So Evolve kind of looks like this. So it's not perfect. I use it a lot for wood grain or anything that has texture to it. And you can play with, you know, the colors or whatever. So it has that loose, rough quality to it. I also like Oberon. It's a little tighter. See how different it is there? I use Oberon a lot for wood. So that again gives me some look. I think I used some for the wall here. I also used it for floors, lots of floors. And you can do it in different colors. So it's basically like, you know, colored pencil. I also like in this section the Marilla. So it's a little more rough than the Oberon, but not as rough as Evolve. I like it because the stroke is a little more fuzzy at the edge. So again, these are good for any kind of rough quality that you like. Let's clear that out so I can. Add a new one. Now the next one in this section is sticks. Sticks, again, it's got that streaky, not perfect look. Again, I like for textures. Let's see, the example that I have for that is probably going to be this dude here. I use sticks a lot for the floor so that you can see, I don't know if you can see, some are like a looser texture, some are more fine, and I just play with it. So it's not all the same. So some of this is technical pen, some of this is pencil, some of this is Oberon, some of this is Marilla, because I wanted to show there's different graining within the wood. So it was more interesting than being overly perfect. So I use sticks for stuff like that. Now, in the next section for the calligraphy, I like to use the monoline. The monoline helps me fill in. So like when I'm drawing things, let's say something like this guy over here, or a chair, or this thing. When I first, before I even do all the different painting part, I will enclose it. I'll draw the monoline around the form and drop it. And then I can render the texture within that. It just helps me for, instead of just sitting there coloring, I mean, it's not good for coloring. It's good for creating a clean boundary as long as you're enclosing it. So if you don't enclose it all the way, you're gonna get that. So that's not what you want. So you gotta make sure it's enclosed for the monoline, and then you can drag and drop. But I use that as the base for all this furniture. So I like it because it's clean and it's got a nice even edge. But the calligraphy itself has lots of cool things that you can use if you're doing any other art project. Now in the painting section, I like to use this guy right here, Salamanca. Let's use like something like this so you can see. No, you can't see that well. Let's go a little bit darker so you can see a little bit better. So this one helps me with, like, if I want to do like a concrete finish. I think if we look at this dude here, I used it for a little bit of the flooring. I used it for this concrete wall. You know, you layer on some grays, some creams, whatever, and then maybe smudge it a bit here, and then you have something like that. So I like the Salamanca. Let's see, what else do I like for that one? I also like the stucco. The stucco again has a rough quality. I use that for the flooring as well. So it even has like vertical ridges, so it's not super perfect. So that gives you a lot of texture. Let's clear this out. So now the next section, or the next set of brushes, is under the artistic section, and the one I like for this one is this Plimsoll. I know I'm mutilating these names, but it is what it is. Okay, so again, this is a texture brush. If you look at it closely, it's almost like a canvas. So I like to play with that and layer in colors. I use that for stones and concretes and wood and carpet. So those are things I like to use with that one. The next section is airbrushing. The airbrushing tool that I like is the soft blend. So that's going to be this guy right here. Now, see, it's nice and subtle. And again, you can play with opacity here. So it's super light. So where I use this is when I want to do some kind of like lighting glow. So if you look at this guy right here, I want to say, hey, light is coming here. And I might take that light color wall and just kind of make a light version of it. And it shows that there's a glow of light. Or I think in reverse here, you can do it to the side to do a kind of cast shadow so that it looks like, you know, light's coming out. Here I have a little bit of glow here under the lamp so that I can show that there's light coming out of that source. And that's where I use the soft blend. Now, the next section is the texture. Texture I like is Dove Lake, again, for texture things. It's pretty fun. I use that for, you know, rough walls, concrete, stone bases, wood base. Again, you can play with how thick, large it is, but I like to layer things on. Another one, it's one of my favorite ones, is the Grunge tool. Grunge is great for, again, stone or concrete. You can play with how large that is, the opacity if you want, and then you can layer things on. You can smudge it. Smudge it. So again, it gives it some interesting texture. Let's clear this up. So the next one we have is, I don't really use abstract. Abstract is, it's got some things. You can definitely play with it or you can check it out. Under charcoal, I like burnt tree. Pretty fun. Again, that's good for stone and wood and concrete. Even like artwork that I play with here. Abstract art is your friend when you're doing renderings, because it's really quick and you have to spend a lot of time detailing things out. You can play with that pen tip to do like marbling, things that are just more rough in nature. Now the next one, let's see, is under elements. Elements, we're going to use, well, what I like to use, I use water. If we're doing like a top plan view and you've got a pool or something like that, you can do that for the water. Snow, I like doing driven snow for things that have speckles. So if you're doing things like granite, or if you have a terrazzo floor, you can play with that in different colors. And layer it so it starts to look like, you know, you've done like a splatter technique, and it's very organic and irregular. Let's see. The next one, spray paint, you could do flicks and splatter alike, and you can use the same kind of concept. So it's more of a stamp, but I mean, I think it looks pretty cool. You can definitely do that for granite or terrazzo or something that has speckles, quartz. Splatter, it's a little more random. So definitely you can do like a darker area of your stone. You can play with that. And so that's nice. You can have fun with it. If you don't like it, you can always undo it. But it's pretty fun to play with. Now, the next one you've got is, let's see. You can do materials. I like vintage. This Campania. Oh, did I say it right? Campania, maybe. It's got this almost like a moleskin kind of texture to it. So that again is also pretty interesting for textures on the walls and stuff like that, or art. You can play with that. Then another one I like is under industrial, and it's called Twisted Tree. Twisted Tree is kind of like burnt tree, but it is even more, it's bigger. So it's giving you that kind of irregular lines and grooving. So again, I like those for concrete floor. It's pretty fun. And then you can always smudge it if it's a little too much, and then you can fade in and out. That's always fun. And then under organic, the spires is also interesting. Spires, let's do something, see how that goes. Top of that. So those are pretty fun for things like the stones and the wood. Now, all those things, like especially like the pencil, I'll use the pencil to kind of come back, and it acts almost like a colored pencil. So instead of just using it in black, like a traditional pencil, use it like if you have a bunch of colored pencils. So that this is like pencil, and I like to play with that one. Let's see what else. Did that. This one. Again, like this is colored pencil, and then some of that speckling thing, speckle thing for outdoors to kind of hint that there's some bushes so that it's not as dominant as what's inside. Here's that rough quality to give me some copper. The pencil in white to give me highlights within that texture. Pencil on top of this. Here is like artist crayon stick to show like the highlight of draperies. Here's that soft blend here for the lights. Let's see what else. Again, we've got the different rough qualities for the ceiling. A soft blend for like the glazing of the glass. And then like this one right here, what I wanted to show you is that if when you're doing the outline of your drawing and if you're using your pencil or whatever, and you're developing the drawing and you want it to look a little bit more painterly, you just make the pencil lines, like lower the opacity so it looks more painterly. So it's a little, like you don't see the outlines of the pencil here. Whereas in this one, you see the outlines of the pencil just a little bit more. I don't know if you can tell. There it is. Pencil, no pencil, a little bit of pencil. So that when you're looking at it from far away, you can play with opacity. And that's the one of the really fun things about Procreate is it's like Photoshop, but you're drawing it, you're controlling with your Apple Pencil. All right, so anyway, these are the list of my favorite brushes. I hope that helps you out. And let me know if I missed a favorite brush that you like to use and what you use it for. All right, I hope that helps you, and I'll talk to you next time.